She didn't give a fuck. At the Video Music Awards, oh my God, he's gorgeous. First time? Oh my gosh. The first time I visited Mexico was when I was living in New York. I had started writing music, but I've always been obsessed with Frida Kahlo, and I wanted to go to her house where she lived, which they've turned into a museum, and kind of do research about her life. So I was, Madame Xing even then, yeah. Oh, in the 80s in New York, felt famous on the Virgin Tour. When I walked out on stage and saw all these people, and all these girls were dressed like me, and people were singing my songs, and it was overwhelming. Medellin, Maluma. In real life, first artist that I met. Well, I mean Jean-Michel Basquiat. He was my boyfriend, so I kind of met him. I may have met Keith Haring before him, though. I think actually Keith may have introduced us, so it's really hard for me to remember. Those days are hazy, but yeah. Oh, I don't know. Sometime in this past year, sitting in a recording studio, yeah. When I auditioned as a backup dancer for a French disco singer called Patrick Fernandez, when I was in high school at the Detroit Institute of Arts. The thing is, there were murals everywhere painted by Diego Rivera, but then there was information about Diego Rivera's wife, Frida Kahlo. So they weren't actually paintings, but they were pictures of her paintings, of her self-portraits, and there's one called The Little Deer, where it's the deer that has all the arrows in it, but it has her face on the deer. My Birth, which is a painting that I now have, one of her self-portraits with all the monkeys on her shoulders, which is the painting the postcard that I used to have on my wall in Manhattan when I was a dancer, when I first moved to New York and I was broke. And I remember so many crazy things happened that year. That was the year there was a blackout. Can you imagine living in Manhattan when you're a teenager and you've never lived there before? You don't know anybody, and there's a blackout. Like, there's no electricity. I don't know how many, it was more than 24 hours of no electricity. And I was living in a 3-story walk-up. There was homeless people sleeping in the lobby of my building. I was sharing an apartment with 2 Israelis I didn't know. My room was the size of a closet. My window faced a brick wall. It was a sweltering day in the summer. It was night. It was 90-something degrees. And on my wall was a postcard of Frida Kahlo. And she had polio. She suffered 7 miscarriages. She had a series of surgeries. She had a mustache. And she was a brilliant artist. She suffered so many indignities married to Diego Rivera, who was a total pig, but a brilliant painter. Loved the art, not the artist. She kept me going. And I said to myself, one day, if I ever make money, I'm gonna buy that painting. And I did. And I have it. So she kept me going. I hope she understands that wherever she is.